Good morning. Welcome again to Morning Devotions. Thank you again for our time together. But right now, I want you to come with me to 1 Thessalonians chapter 1. And the principle I want to teach you is simply this. Before you can be an example, you must have experienced an example. Listen to Paul. He begins in let's start in verse 5. Because our gospel came to you not only in word, but also in power and the Holy Spirit and full conviction. You know what kind of men we proved to be among you for your sake. Paul said we proved who we were. We didn't just talk about who we were. We didn't give a seminar and tell you this is who we are. This is the Pauline culture. This is the Pauline DNA. We didn't do something like that. Paul said we proved who we were among you. And you became imitators of us and of the Lord. Okay, wonderful. So Paul said, I lived a life before you as an example, and then you imitated that example. And you became imitators of us and of the Lord, for you received the word with much affliction, with joy of the Holy Spirit, so that you became an example to all the believers in Macedonia and in Achaia. Now, Achaia would be the province where Greece was located. Macedonia was another province. So in these two provinces, the church of Thessalonica became the example. But they became the example because they had watched Paul and his team's example of how to live the Christian life. And then as they watched that example, they imitated that example. And then other people could look at them and imitate the example of their life. Now again, the principle is simply this. You could never be an example until you have studied and learned to imitate an example. This is why children always watch the Achaias and the Achaia above them. They're learning what to do. They're learning what to say. This is why at every stage of life we look to people that are older than us. Like I look at Brother John and Sister Pat. We look at them and we say, okay, now this is how they're working on their life at this stage of their life. We always follow patterns. We always follow examples. The role of a pastor primarily is to be a pattern, is to be an example. This is how you live a Christian marriage. This is how you live a Christian life. And as we prove ourselves among you, then imitate us as we follow Christ. And then other people can look at your life and the example of life is passed on.